Women often seem strong on the surface, especially right after they pull away or end a relationship. She might block you, ignore you, start posting happy pictures, or act like she's suddenly living her best life without you. But that appearance of emotional strength is rarely the truth. Corey Wayne teaches that a woman's emotional detachment is almost never immediate, especially if she had real feelings. Women don't disconnect overnight. They disconnect slowly, silently, and with internal conflict. What you're seeing on the outside is more often a mask than a reflection of what's going on inside her. When a woman acts cold or distant, she's usually trying to protect herself. She's trying to manage her own emotions, hide her vulnerability, and convince herself that she's doing the right thing, even though she may appear calm, centered, and over it. Her emotions are still tied to the connection she had with you. She's still processing, analyzing, remembering, and feeling the weight of the bond you shared. When a woman has invested time, affection, trust, and dreams into someone, she can't detach quickly. She feels the absence even more intensely than you do, because she's more emotionally wired to the relationship. This is why women often push themselves to act indifferent. They don't want you to see that they miss you. They don't want to give you the power of knowing that your absence affects them. Pride plays a huge role. She wants to look unbothered because showing emotion might feel like admitting weakness. And yet, despite her silence, she's thinking about you. Every familiar place triggers memories. Every song hits differently. Every moment of loneliness brings your name back to her mind. She tells herself she's moving on, but her heart keeps dragging her back to the connection. Women are emotional creatures, but they are also strategic. They feel deeply, but they rarely reveal the full depth of those feelings unless they trust the outcome. If she's hurt, conflicted, or disappointed, she will instinctively pull back to protect herself. Distance is her way of buying time, not her way of forgetting you. She needs time to evaluate the situation, to think about what went wrong, and to understand how she feels. But having doubts doesn't mean she's done with you. On the contrary, doubts only appear when the heart still cares. A woman who is truly over you doesn't need to prove anything. She doesn't need to post motivational quotes about moving on. She doesn't need to show off her independence or pretend she's too busy to think about you. The louder she tries to look detached, the more emotional conflict she's actually hiding. Ironically, the women who look the most over it are often the ones still fighting the strongest internal battle. The relief she shows is part of the story, but the hurt she hides is the part no one sees. Even if she initiates distance, she expects you to understand the depth of what she's going through. Women may act firm, but internally they question themselves. Did I make the right decision? Is he thinking about me? Does he still care? Will he reach out? This internal dialogue can last weeks, months, even years depending on the bond. Her mind replays events over and over, analyzing every detail. She remembers the good moments, the connection, the closeness, the comfort, and the security she felt with you. She also remembers the mistakes, the misunderstandings, and the emotional imbalances, but none of these erase attachment. They only complicate it. This is why Corey Wayne emphasizes that women often detach emotionally before they physically walk away. By the time she distances herself, she has already spent countless hours thinking about the relationship. But even after she steps back, she is not free from the emotional weight. She may still feel the pull, the desire, the curiosity, and the memory of what you two had. She might even test her own ability to detach and discover that she can't. Emotional bonds aren't switches. They're deep-rooted connections built over time. One of the biggest misunderstandings men have is assuming her silence means she's done. But silence is where women process the most. Silence is where they battle between their pride and their feelings. Silence is where they imagine scenarios of you reaching out, apologizing, growing, or returning stronger. Silence is where they question whether cutting ties is truly the right choice. When a woman pulls away after a relationship, it's rarely random. Corey Wayne explains that her withdrawal is often a test, a way to gauge your strength, your confidence, and whether you truly embody the qualities of a hive. Al, you man. She's not trying to hurt you, even though it may feel that way. She's trying to understand if you're going to crumble, chase, or beg, or if you're going to remain composed, independent, and fully committed to your own life and growth. Women instinctively notice and respond to behavior. They evaluate men based on actions, consistency, and emotional control, more than words or promises. This is why pulling away is such a strategic move on her part. It's a way to measure your worth in real time without directly asking. When a woman steps back, she's testing your emotional resilience. Corey Wayne emphasizes that this is not manipulation in a malicious sense. It's a natural instinct. Women are wired to assess whether a man can handle adversity, stress, or distance without losing his center. They want to know if you are a man who can maintain your frame, your purpose, and your lifestyle regardless of how she behaves. If you panic, send desperate messages, or beg for attention, she interprets that as weakness. She sees that you are not independent enough to handle life on your own, and attraction fades. On the other hand, if you remain calm, continue to invest in yourself, and demonstrate high value qualities, she sees a man who is strong, self-sufficient, and worthy of her admiration. Her attraction doesn't disappear because you're not chasing her. It often grows stronger. Women also pull away to create contrast. When she steps back, she observes how you react in her absence. Corey Wayne teaches that contrast is one of the most powerful forces in attraction. If she sees that life goes on without her, that you are growing, achieving, and remaining composed, she experiences the tension between desire and opportunity. She begins to feel the pull of missing the connection, which naturally reignites attraction. Distance allows a woman to reflect on what you bring to her life without the distractions of daily interaction. It gives her the space to realize what she might be losing, and this realization is far more compelling than words, begging, or attempts to convince her of your worth. This test of withdrawal is also a way for her to measure your ability to respect boundaries. Corey Wayne stresses that now you men understand the importance of not violating a woman's space, even when emotions are intense. If you chase her aggressively, show neediness, or disregard her signals, you fail the test. A woman will pull further away because she feels her autonomy is threatened. But if you respect her space, give her time, and remain confident and engaged in your own life, you pass the test. She notices patience, discipline, and self-control qualities that women find deeply attractive. Your reaction to her distance communicates your character more powerfully than anything else. Another crucial reason a woman pulls away is to evaluate your consistency over time. Corey Wayne explains that women assess men not in isolated moments, but over weeks and months. They want to see whether your confidence, composure, and focus are reliable, especially when the relationship faces stress or conflict. If she sees that you remain aligned with your purpose, maintain your lifestyle, and continue growing emotionally, she recognizes your stability and maturity. Her attraction is rekindled not because you chased her back, but because she sees that you are a man of consistent value who is not dependent on her for validation. She realizes that losing you would mean losing someone rare and irreplaceable, and that recognition fuels her desire. It's important to understand that when a woman pulls away, She is not automatically over you. Corey Wayne highlights that this distancing is usually motivated by a combination of curiosity, testing, and self-protection. She wants to see if you will crumble under pressure, and if not, her attraction naturally resurfaces. Her behavior is a reflection of her emotional evaluation process, not a definitive end to her feelings. The more composed, independent, and confident you remain, the more likely she is to recognize your value and return to the connection on her own terms. Even when a woman appears to have moved on, she is often still paying attention in subtle ways. Corey Wayne emphasizes that women are naturally observant and intuitive. They notice small changes in behavior, lifestyle, and confidence. Just because she doesn't reach out directly or openly express interest doesn't mean she isn't watching. Her attention is rarely obvious, and that's intentional. Women tend to operate indirectly. They assess, observe, and analyze from a distance before revealing what they truly feel. So when a man assumes she's over him because she's silent, he's usually misreading the situation entirely. Her silence can be a form of emotional strategy, not a reflection of detachment. Women notice the little things. She may observe how you are handling yourself after the breakup, whether you are growing, pursuing your goals, or falling into old patterns of neediness. Corey Wayne teaches that women are attuned to these signals because they speak louder than words. A man's response to distance is a mirror of his self-respect, emotional maturity, and confidence. If she sees you handling life with stability, composure, and purpose, she registers that on a subconscious level. Even if she acts aloof or indifferent, she can't help but notice that you are still the man she found attractive. Conversely, if she detects desperation, panic, or emotional instability, she interprets that as a sign of low value and her attraction diminishes. Social media, mutual friends, and casual interactions all serve as quiet observation channels. Corey Wayne points out that women often check up on ex-partners without overtly interacting. They watch from afar, noticing how you're living your life, who you're associating with, and how you present yourself to the world. Every post, story, or shared update is a signal to her. Your progress, your achievements, your composure, all of these communicate that you are thriving independently. Even small indicators of confidence or success are magnified in her mind because they contrast with the moments when she felt she had a stronger emotional hold. In this way, she remains engaged emotionally even when she's physically distant. Women also reflect on memories and shared experiences silently. Corey Wayne emphasizes that these reflections are rarely neutral. They're filtered through emotion, desire, and curiosity. She recalls the moments that made her feel secure, loved, and excited times when your masculinity, confidence, or emotional intelligence made a difference. She may even replay arguments or moments of tension to see if she understands her own feelings better or to evaluate whether her decisions were correct. This internal processing keeps you present in her mind even if she doesn't openly acknowledge it. The bond doesn't dissolve quickly, it lingers quietly, shaping her perception and future decisions. The indirect observation is also a test. She watches how you handle your independence, your social interactions, and your progress in life. Corey Wayne stresses that women are drawn to men who maintain their frame and pursue their mission, regardless of emotional turbulence. When she notices that you are thriving without her, it triggers a mix of respect, curiosity, and renewed attraction. Her attention is often masked as casual observation, but it is deeply psychological. She is assessing whether the qualities that initially drew her to you remain intact. Furthermore, Women are sensitive to emotional energy. Even if she avoids direct contact, she can feel shifts in your confidence and presence when she does see you, either in person or online. Corey Wayne highlights that attraction is strongly tied to energy and emotional projection. A man who demonstrates calmness, positivity, and self-mastery naturally attracts attention even without intentional effort. She senses that you are moving forward, growing, and remaining centered, which creates a magnetic pull. The pull isn't about manipulation or strategy on her part. It's a natural response to witnessing strength, growth, and independence. The key takeaway is that a woman's silence and distance are rarely indicators of disinterest. Corey Wayne teaches that they often reflect observation, evaluation, and emotional engagement from afar. She may be watching, reflecting, and processing while testing both herself and you in subtle ways. Understanding this dynamic shifts the perspective. It's not about chasing, pleading, or convincing. It's about maintaining presence, confidence, and value. Your actions, your energy, and your growth speak far louder than words ever could. Even when she seems disengaged, the observation continues. She may quietly measure whether you are evolving, whether your emotional resilience holds, and whether your self-mastery remains strong. Her attention and emotional connection can persist long after she physically steps away, and Corey Wayne emphasizes that recognizing this is crucial. When you remain centered, purposeful, and confident, you're not just surviving the distance, you're naturally reinforcing her attraction. She may be silent, but she is rarely absent in the emotional sense, and the awareness of your ongoing value keeps you present in her mind. In short, women watch, reflect, and process silently. They notice your growth, your composure, and your independence. Every subtle action you take communicates more about your value than any conversation could. Understanding this dynamic allows you to maintain confidence and purpose, knowing that her attention and emotional engagement may still be very much alive, even if it isn't obvious. The quiet observation is a sign that the bond lingers, and with the right approach, it can naturally translate into renewed attraction. A woman's return after a breakup or period of distance is rarely about chasing or desperation. It's about the man she sees in front of her. Corey Wayne emphasizes that attraction is rooted in masculine growth, strength, and self-mastery, not in pleading, chasing, or trying to convince someone of your worth. When a woman walks away, she isn't always done with you. She may still imagine a life with you, wonder about what you could become, or fear losing the man she believed you could be. Her emotions are complex, and her desire often persists, even if her behavior seems contradictory. Understanding this dynamic is key. She comes back when she realizes that the man she thought she might lose has grown into exactly the version of himself she admires and respects. The reason a woman comes back is closely tied to the concept of masculine value. Corey Wayne teaches that women are drawn to men who embody strength, confidence, purpose, and emotional stability. If a man allows himself to collapse under emotional pressure, beg for attention, or try to manipulate feelings, he signals low value. Conversely, when a man focuses on his own growth, his career, his fitness, his mindset, his social and personal development, he demonstrates traits that reignite attraction. The transformation must be genuine, consistent, and visible through action. A woman doesn't return because you chased her or apologized excessively. She returns because she recognizes that the man she thought she lost is now an even stronger, higher value version of himself. Emotional control plays a critical role in this process. Women are drawn to men who can manage their emotions under stress. Corey Wayne stresses that a man's ability to remain composed when she distances herself shows resilience, maturity, and self-respect, qualities that are innately attractive. By handling the breakup or separation with grace, you demonstrate that your life is not dependent on her validation. This independence is magnetic. She observes from a distance and begins to understand that losing you would mean losing a man who is secure, capable, and fully invested in his own growth. The stronger and more consistent your masculine energy, the more it triggers both curiosity and desire, even if she initially walked away. Boundaries are another crucial factor. When a man respects her space without becoming needy or reactive, he reinforces his value and integrity. Corey Wayne teaches that boundaries communicate confidence and self-respect, which are fundamental components of long-term attraction. By maintaining your own life, priorities, and emotional stability, you allow her to see that you are not a man who will compromise his identity for validation or temporary comfort. This realization often sparks reflection. She starts to compare the man you are now with the man she thought she could manipulate or take for granted. The contrast reinforces attraction and can lead to her returning not because of external pressure, but because she respects and desires the man you've become. Women also return when they recognize that you have become emotionally and mentally strong enough to match their own desires for partnership. Corey Wayne emphasizes that attraction thrives when a man embodies qualities that complement a woman's needs for security, adventure, and emotional engagement. By leveling up, you create alignment between your masculine presence and her feminine energy. She senses that you are no longer dependent, reactive, or insecure. Instead, you project stability, confidence, and purpose, which ignites respect, admiration, and renewed desire. She comes back not because she can control you, but because she feels drawn to the authentic, evolved version of you. Another aspect is the fear of loss. Women, like men, are motivated by scarcity and desire. Corey Wayne notes that when a woman sees a man thriving without her, achieving goals and maintaining his frame, she experiences a natural pull. She begins to realize what she stands to lose if she fully walks away. This isn't about manipulation. It's about natural attraction responding to strength, growth, and self-assurance. The realization that the man she valued is no longer dependent on her triggers reflection, desire, and often a return to reconnect. Ultimately, the key to her return is your personal evolution. Women don't come back to a man who remains stuck in old patterns, who begs, or who compromises his values. They return to a man who demonstrates self-mastery, purpose, and consistency. Corey Wayne emphasizes that growth must be authentic and ongoing. The attraction she feels is rooted not in words, excuses, or promises, but in the transformation she witnesses in your behavior, presence, and energy. In essence, a woman comes back when she sees the man she once valued has become someone she cannot ignore. His strength, independence, emotional control, and dedication to his growth ignite desire and admiration. This is why Corey Wayne teaches that the path to rekindling attraction is not chasing, pleading, or manipulating. It is self-improvement, consistency, and the relentless pursuit of becoming a high-value man. By embodying this, you naturally draw her back, not through pressure, but through the magnetic power of your own evolution.